Hi everyone, welcome to my semi-regular update of new vinyl and CDs. This is those things that I've been buying over the last few months, since the middle of September in fact, when I last did one of these. And I've got some great stuff here to show you. I'm not going to be covering in this video all the Beatles Red album, Blue album and Now and Then that's come since the middle of September. I've covered that in plenty of other videos. They're all there. If you haven't seen them and you want to see those, they're all there on my channel to go back and watch. So I'm gonna show you these. If there's any of this that's of particular interest to you, I'm gonna put links down in the comments for if there's any of this stuff that you are interested in. The first thing I'm going to show you just arrived a couple of days ago. I actually ordered this at Christmas and it took about 3 weeks to arrive. This is the Beach Boys Sail on Sailor 1972 set. And this is great. This is really impressive. I wasn't expecting to see it arrive like this in a book form. This was a surprise to me. It's very similar to the Pet Sounds 50th anniversary book that came out in 2016. Very similar style. I was just expecting a little box set with a few CDs in. But let's try and get you a close-up of that. It's a real nice effect on that cover there. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. Beach Boys, Sail on Sailor 1972. So this is covering really the two studio albums and an EP, plus lots of other things that happened in 1972. So there was the Carl and the Passions album that came out first in 1972. That's here fully remastered, including lots of extra session material for that album. Then there was the Holland album, later in 1972. Again, fully remastered here, including lots of unreleased sessions from that. That takes care of, well, most of the first two discs, but there's also Mount Vernon and Fairway, A Fairy Tale, the sort of very crazy EP that was released along with the Holland album back in 1972. That's here in full. You've then got the Beach Boys live at Carnegie Hall from 1972. That takes up all of CDs 3 and 4. CD 5, 1972 sessions, previously unreleased, live bonus tracks, and then loads of other sort of sessions as well, taking up 6 CDs and a really nice book. I'm really happy with this. There is a vinyl version as well. It's pretty expensive, to be honest, but this, have a guess, for the 6 CDs, really nice book, fully remastered. I mean, if that was the Beatles, you'd be talking well over 100 quid, wouldn't you? £39.99. Really, really happy with this. So I've just been starting to engross myself in it over the last day or so, because it only arrived really just sort of less than 48 hours ago, but really enjoying that. I would really recommend, if you're a Beach Boys fan and you haven't checked out this Sail on Sailor book, to have a look at that. So that's really nice. I've also got, which I still haven't had much chance to dig into yet, I'm going to read all of this, but I just haven't had much time for reading lately. It's the Mal Evans Living the Beatles Legend book, based on his diaries. This was released towards the back end of 2023, written by Kenneth Womack, who's done sort of several other really good books in the past on the Beatles. This is going to be the first of 2 parts. Now, I was surprised when I opened this. I was expecting it to be set out like a diary, but it isn't. It's more set out like an actual book telling the story of Mal Evans, not in diary form at all. I understand that there's going to be a second edition coming out that is going to be more like the diary format that Mal wrote originally. So I am going to read this, and I am going to get round to it soon. But I've really just started. You can see how far into the book I am there. I really haven't had much chance at all yet, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to move on to some vinyl soon. I'm also in this video going to cover some high-res and CD quality downloads that I've had recently, because I'm really starting to delve into those and get quite a few more of those, mainly from the Cobuz website. So I'm going to show you some of those shortly as well. But this came out towards the back end, I think it was October, November time. This is Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon, live at Wembley, 1974. This is fantastic. I am really, really enjoying this. Let's just show you the detail on this hype sticker. So, obviously not long after Dark Side of the Moon came out, this concert takes place at, and you can see in the gatefold there, hopefully that's not too too bright, but it contains its sort of original working versions of the album cover and how they were designing it and what they were intending was going to be on it. So I've got that on CD, but also got it on vinyl as well, which has been surprisingly cheap. It was around about £16 I paid for this. I think it's gone up a couple of pounds since then. Again, there's links below if you're interested in this stuff. But what really struck me listening to this was, if you think about sort of what live shows were like during the 60s when the Beatles were performing, for example, up till 66, very, very sort of rudimentary shows. There was no visual effects at all. It was just very much 4 guys on a stage, guitars, bass, drums, and that's it. And you move forward not a great deal of distance into the time, into 1974, and you can just tell by listening to this that things had just moved on so much in terms of live shows, and Pink Floyd were really one of the great sort of bands at driving forward what a live show could be, and it really comes across well on this, and it sounds fantastic as well. So I've listened to this a lot over the last couple of months or so, and been really enjoying that Pink Floyd live at Dark Side of the Moon live at Wembley 1974. Superb. Before we move off Pink Floyd, one more Pink Floyd item to show you, which came out around the similar time. This is the 50th anniversary edition of Dark Side of the Moon. I do not intend to buy Dark Side of the Moon again, ever, in my life. I've got it enough times now. But this was worth it for me, because this has got, if you just have a look at this, it's obviously you've got the regular track list there. Dark Side of the Room. You've got a Dolby Atmos mix, which, as I've said before, I don't have capability at the moment to play Dolby Atmos, but I may well have in the future. And I want to have some really good things to play on it if I get it. And unfortunately, the thing seems to be these days that if you don't get something fairly soon, it may well have gone and you may not get it. So I've got it here if I need it. There's 5.1 surround on there as well, but there's also high-res mixers there, like really high-res mixers, which I can take advantage of at the moment. I've got a system that will play the high-res mixers really nicely. So by far, it's the best digital version of Dark Side of the Moon that I've got, and it's on a par with the vinyl version that I've got as well, to be honest. So this is a nice set. It's got some postcards in there. It's got the disc that comes out here. So this is a Blu-ray disc. I've been able to, using software that I've been able to take the audio from the Blu-ray in perfect lossless quality and get it high res onto my system and onto my streamer. So really happy with that. Shall we do, we'll do a couple more CDs and then I'm going to move on to some vinyl. So one of my favourite current bands, I've got 2 bands really who are current bands that I'm really sort of fans of. One of them is Public Service Broadcasting. This is called This New Noise, and this was sort of the final album that I haven't got of theirs that I managed to sort of pick up a couple of weeks ago. And if you don't know Public Service Broadcasting, what they do is they do music, obviously, but they set the music to usually archival voice recordings based on a theme. So they've done an album where called The Race for Space, where they use original NASA recordings of the moon landings and have set that to an album, and it's fantastic. They did an album called Every Valley, which was about the rise and decline of the Welsh mining industry. Not a natural topic for an album, but it's a fantastic album. This album, This New Noise, is all about the formation and rise of the BBC. Interestingly, this was done, as it says here, recorded live at the Royal Albert Hall for the BBC Proms in 2022, commissioned by Radio 3 to mark the BBC's centenary. So this is really old archival recordings of the people who were responsible for creating the BBC, setting out its vision, and it's been set to an album. This isn't my favourite Public Service Broadcasting album by a long way, but I do enjoy it, and it's one that I really needed to fill out that collection of theirs, because they're one of the few current acts that I really do take an interest in. I really like what they do. I also got this. This was for Christmas. I got this as a present. Honky Chateau, Elton John. This is the 50th anniversary release. So I've never owned a copy of Honky Chateau before. I'd never heard the album before, but I really wanted to get to know it. So, of course, I know the couple of big songs on here. So Honky Cat and Rocket Man being the two really famous songs on here. So it's got the full album remastered. It's then got live concerts. I was a little bit unsure with the live concert, which is live, where was it from? Live at the Royal Festival Hall, London in 1972. If you've got this, can you let me know? I could hear a bit of a high-pitched noise throughout it, as though it was like a bit of a buzz on the soundboard or something like that. It was a bit off-putting, to be honest. So I don't think it's anything to do with my copy. It's a CD copy. They should all be identical. Have you got this and can you hear that? If you can, let me know. But this is a nice package here. It's got a book all about the album and the making of the album, and the discs inside there. So yeah, I've picked up a few of the Elton John 50th anniversary releases over the last few years, and I'm certainly interested to look out for if there's any that I've missed, because I would like to really get to know that early period of Elton John a lot better than I do, to be honest, because I've been one of those people who's sort of really taken notice of the singles mainly, and I'd never really delved much into the albums. One more Christmas present on CDs, and then I'm going to go on to the vinyl. So really like this. Dire Straits Live, 1978 to 1992. This is a box set. As you can see, there's also a vinyl version that I haven't got. Friend of mine, hello Stuart, if you're watching, has got the vinyl version, and he absolutely loves it. But this has got various already existing live albums on it, and some new unreleased stuff. Well, not new, it's from back in the day, but previously unreleased. It's got the Alchemy album, which probably isn't going to be the same as the Alchemy album that a lot of you will have had for years. This is expanded. This has got several additional tracks on. I can't remember off the top of my head which they are, but if you're familiar with the Alchemy album, you might be able to see there some additional songs that's not on the original copy. On the Night, which was their last live album following the On Every Street album, I already had that album. Encores, which was, I think this was like a live EP from the early 90s, again from the On the Night period, because it's got the Bug on there, which is on the On Every Street album. Live at the BBC, a fairly straight reissue of that great album that they did. And then previously unreleased, Live at the Rainbow, which hopefully you can see the track listing down there. So that's from I think it was back end of the 70s, or was it 1980? 21st of December 1979. Yes, there you go. So that's really nice as well, sort of classic early Dire Straits lineup. Nice inside. Every album has got, that's just the hype sticker that's fallen out. There's some postcards there that I'm never too bothered about postcards, to be honest. But the nice gatefold versions of the CDs, they're all pretty nice. So yeah, I was really happy to get that set. That was one of the big ticket items on my Christmas list this year. So yeah, very happy with that. Okay, let's show you some vinyl now. The Who, Sell Out. This was a Record Store Day version from, I think, a couple of years or so back that I didn't pick up at the time, but I got the Who, Sell Out on CD, a second-hand CD, a few months ago. Started really, really enjoying the album. And a friend of mine, hello Michael, had this, and he's not particularly a fan of the album, doesn't really like it. So he offered to sell it to me at a really good price. So I snapped his arm off at that. The Who, Sell Out. Look at that beautiful gatefold there. This is a 2-disc version, so disc 1 has got the regular album, and then disc 2 has got various additional songs, sort of US single versions and other various things of the era. The Mary Ann with the Shaky Hand, the US single version, I much prefer it to the version that's on the main album, always have done. But I'm really enjoying the Who, Sell Out at the moment. It's very much in that vibe of, for example, Ogden's Nut Gone Flake by Small Faces, which is one of my absolute favourite albums of the 60s. It feels very much that kind of vein of an album. And it's always really intrigued me, those little nods, especially towards the back end of this album. There's certain riffs and tunes that would then be reused later on Tommy, for example. That being the next, yeah, that was the next album after this, wasn't it? So yeah, really enjoying the Who Sell Out at the moment, which as I say, I bought that off the back of having bought, might as well cover it while we're here, it on CD, second-hand CD, £3.99 from Relics in Leeds, second-hand shop. So that got me into the album, and then I thought, yeah, gonna get that vinyl. So yeah, chuffed with that. While we're on the subject of the Who, I picked up the Uncut magazine, which was a special relating to the Who's Next box set that came out, which I haven't bought. I keep looking at it. I've nearly pounced a couple of times when the price has dipped. Sometimes it's well over £200. It's dipped to around 100, and I've nearly pounced, but not quite. So this was a commemorative edition of Uncut magazine for the Who's Next release. A good Ultimate Albums guide here for the Who. But with it came this CD, Who's Next Lifehouse. So this has got some tracks from the Who's Next box set on it. A couple, I think, from the main album itself, and some of the other sort of session tracks that appear in the box set. And yeah, I've really enjoyed that. That's been really good. And it is definitely making me think, yeah, there's going to come a time probably when that box set's going to dip to a price that's going to tempt me in. Especially since I've got about £80 worth of Amazon gift card credit at the moment, so I could actually get that box set for not a lot if it dips to about £100. So I'm probably going to pounce on that at some point. Let's show you a couple more bits of vinyl, and then we'll go back and finish off the CDs. What I would like to say is that obviously at the moment, as I record this on the 21st of January, we're just under 2 weeks away from the release of the Paul McCartney and Wings Band on the Run 50th anniversary half Speedmaster with the underdubbed version of the album, which I'm very, very interested to hear. So I've got that ordered. I've got the vinyl ordered. I've got the CD ordered. I'm very interested to sort of see whether there's any difference on the CD of the main album between that and what we've already had previously. I'm not sure that's going to be revelatory, but it does come with the underdubbed on CD. So I'm going to be covering that, of course, on this channel. I'll be showing you exactly what's on there along with a review of it. I'm also planning to do a live stream because I haven't had a chance to do many live streams lately. I'm going to do a Band on the Run themed live stream at the time. I might even think about maybe bringing back one of my World Cups that I haven't done for a long time. Maybe a Band on the Run themed World Cup. That's my plan. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. If enough of you say that you're up for that, then I will definitely arrange that. So as well, for all that kind of thing, you know, Band on the Run, we've got Mind Games coming up in probably around June. I'm going to be covering that really in depth. Any other Beatles related releases that come out, I'm going to be covering them in depth. If you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I don't say this often, but occasionally I do, please subscribe, because YouTube is rubbish at letting people know when new videos are out. It's very hit and miss, but if you subscribe, you've got a much better chance of YouTube telling you that one of those videos is out. Okay, there you go. Sell over, that's done. Right, a couple more pieces of vinyl now. I am trying to collect the albums from Blur on vinyl that I want on vinyl. There's a couple that I'm not bothered about, and I think I've completed now what I want. In fact, I have. I know I have. A couple of months ago, I bought Blur: The Great Escape from 1995. These are all the 2012 remasters, and that campaign in 2012 to get all the albums back out there, they've done a really good job. I mean, it's a beautiful gatefold. It's got let me show you this. On the sleeves that the albums come in, hopefully you can see that. It's got the chords for the songs, which is great. You can play along on guitar. And it does that on quite a few of the albums, so that's really funky. So The Great Escape from 1995, the absolute peak of Britpop. This, of course, is the album that has Country House on it, which was that massive chart battle with Oasis, Country House versus Roll With It. This is the height of Britpop excess from Blur's perspective anyway. But it's got some fantastic songs on it. Stereotypes is a really good opening. Country House, I think, is a great song. All right, it's a bit silly, it's over the top, it's Britpop at its most sort of pompous nonsense, but it's a great song. Charmless Man is fantastic. Best Days, The Universal, of course. Charmless Man is a fantastic song. And it then sort of goes off as Blur albums did in some weird directions further on, but still, you know, a really fun album. And the other one, the one that I wanted to complete the set of Blur albums, again, this was a Christmas present. Park Life! From 1994, the year before The Great Escape. This is Britpop just starting to bloom. It really sort of taken a bit of a hold in 1993. 94, it started to get a lot more mainstream and really took hold. Fantastic album. Again, you've got some classics on here. Girls and Boys, End of a Century, Park Life, Bad Head, To the End, This Is a Low. There's some superb Blur songs on here. Graham Coxon is and always will be one of my favourite guitarists of all time. I think time has proven that, like him or not, Damon Albarn is one of this country's greats, and that's Park Life is just kind of the peak of that era. So there's two Blur albums that I don't have on vinyl. That's Leisure and Think Tank, and I'm not really bothered about getting them, to be honest. So I've completed my Blur collection on vinyl. Fantastic. Okay, a few more CDs, then one more piece of vinyl, and we're done. And you can all go about your day. I've been trying to pick up, where possible, some more Ringo albums. Because I had copies of all of them, but I didn't actually own all of them. And these are all, to be honest, none of these are my favourites from Ringo. But just for the kind of sake of having them in the collection, I have been able to pick up Ringo 2012, not one of my favourites. Give More Love, again, not one of my favourites, but you know, it's good Ringo fare. This one was slightly annoying, Ringo Starr Storytellers. It's a very enjoyable album. I bought this off eBay, but then when it came, look at that. It's just in a slimline case without the back cover. Very annoying. Not annoying enough for me to return it and have to pay an exorbitant price for another copy, but still slightly annoying. And what was the other one? Oh yeah, Liverpool 8. Liverpool, I left you. Which, you know, that's not bad. It was always quite funny at the time how Ringo really put his foot in it, annoying the people of Liverpool with the promotion of that album. Some of whom I'm sure still haven't quite forgiven him. So yeah, trying to increase my Ringo collection at the moment. Where's that 50th anniversary of the Ringo album, Ringo? Come on, we want that. Is it ever going to happen? I don't know. So I've been collecting the reissues when I found it necessary and worthwhile of the Now albums. Now that's what I call music 16 in this case. This was from the back end of 1989. I'll just get you the track listing there. Again, slightly annoying. So I haven't picked up all of these because some of them just don't have songs on that I need a really good copy of. Some of these have been replacing sort of old Napster downloads from 20 odd years ago. I wanted this for 3 songs, and I'm a bit annoyed. One of them is Street Tough by Double Trouble and the Rebel MC. Silly song, but I've always really enjoyed it. I wanted the classic I Know by De La Soul, which is on here. The other song that I wanted from Now 16 was French Kiss by Lil Louis. Again, a very silly song, but it's fun to listen to. So I bought it for that, and it's not on here. They haven't put it on the reissue. Sometimes I think they have rights issues in not being able to include certain things. I don't know whether it's a bit of a naughty song, is French Kiss by Lil Louis. I don't know whether they wanted to keep it off for that reason. That would be annoying if that was the case. So yeah, I bought it for 3 songs, and it's actually only got 2 of the 3 on it. So, but still, I'm very pleased to have those. I've finally got a proper digital copy of Street Tough by the Rebel MC. So that's good. And there's some really good back end in the 1980s stuff on there as well. I did mention in my last video where I was talking about my speaker upgrades that I bought the Jurassic Park soundtrack CD. Just sounds amazing through this system. It's one of John Williams' greatest soundtracks, I think. It's up there with Star Wars, with Close Encounters and various others. So I've been playing that quite a bit lately and really enjoying that as well. So I mentioned that I've been getting some downloads as well, usually from the Qobuz website, and they're either high res or at least CD quality lossless downloads. And I'm finding that a great tool for filling in discographies where there's items that are either really expensive or difficult to get hold of as physical media on CD, for example. Or where they're just not available physically. I'm finding that going to Qobuz and you're finding all sorts of things that bands have released that you're not really going to get as physical media. So I've got my laptop open here, and let's just show you what we've been getting. So I mentioned that Public Service Broadcasting are one of the two big bands of the moment that I like. The other is the Lemon Twigs. I've talked about them before. New York brothers Brian and Michael Daddario, supremely talented brothers making fantastic classic sounding rock and pop. They're still only in the very early 20s and they've had about 4 albums out already. So I picked up a couple of things here, a Brothers of Destruction early EP and Fooling Around early single of theirs that I just couldn't get on CD, as well as their new single My Golden Years. If you've not heard this yet, check it out. My Golden Years by the Lemon Twigs, superb. Hopefully part of an album that might be coming that hasn't been announced yet, but at the moment it's a standalone single. We've then got back to Public Service Broadcasting. I mentioned they're my other favourite band of the moment. They did an EP, again, that you just can't really get it on physical media now easily. An EP about speed skating. Why not? It's using archival commentary about the speed skating world set to music. Great. And then a slightly longer EP that they did a few years ago, all about the building and the sailing of the Titanic. So that's an interesting listen. And then we've got U2 live at Live Aid from 1985. You know, Freddie Mercury put on the show of a lifetime that day, but I think if Queen hadn't done that, then U2 would probably be the act we'd be remembering from that day, because what they did, that especially the performance of Bad, which is why I bought this, was astonishing. Bono nearly broke the band up with this performance of Bad. It was completely not what they'd rehearsed. He annoyed the band so much there was monumental arguments afterwards, and then by all accounts, about sort of as the weeks went on, the band realised that what Bono had done that day was pretty damn special, and I think all was forgiven on that score. If you're not familiar with U2's performance of Bad at Live Aid, go and search for it on YouTube and have a look. It is sensational. So I was really pleased that they had it on Qobuz for a download. And then the last one, I'm not going to make any apologies for this. I'm merely stating this as a fact. There is a new version of the Sound of Music soundtrack. The original soundtrack. This has got the original soundtrack on. It's got original film versions of the songs. It's got previously unreleased items. It's got orchestra only versions. It's got all sorts on here. Sound of Music is one of my, I would probably put it in my top favourite films of all time. You know, that's just fact. Like it or not, that is a fact. I love the film. This has got 84 tracks on, I believe. If I just scroll down, you'll see, you know, pause it if you want to see what any of this stuff is. But yeah, 84 songs from The Sound of Music. They're different versions of, and I've been listening to that quite a bit as well and really, really enjoying it. So yeah, I've been loving getting some Qobuz downloads lately. Back to a bit more vinyl. Really happy with this. Pink Floyd, Wish You Were Here. This is a remastered version of the album. When was it remastered? 2016 remastered this is. Bernie Grundman. So that's always a sign of quality. Interesting packaging. So you can see that, I don't know if you can see, this is this cover that it's in. If I just take this off. Take that off, clear cover. But then it's in another cover. That's obviously not the album cover that it traditionally came in. So this is another peel off. And then inside there, we have the actual album, the familiar album cover. So it sounds great, does this? I cranked this loud not long ago, and it's a really good sounding version of the album. So, Pink Floyd Wish You Were Here is... There's bits on the wall after that that I like, but the wall generally, as an album, as a full album, is hard work for me. It's not one of my favourites. So, Wish You Were Here is... It's sort of where I jump off the train of Pink Floyd. I love the period right from the start, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, through to Wish You Were Here. Then after that, The Wall, okay, bits of it I love, most of it I'm not fussed about. And that's me sort of really done with Pink Floyd from that point onwards. So that's what I've been picking up since September. I hope some of this stuff has been interesting to see. Let me know your thoughts on any of this stuff. Have you got it? Is there stuff here that you like or hate? Let me know. And I will be back very, very soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.